3, 2, 1, 0.
Hollywood is really good at imagining just how destructive an alien invasion would be. And in the movies, the aliens don't usually come in peace. Instead, they come with big plans, overwhelming firepower, and not much concern for who gets hurt. In real life, we don't know anything about aliens, but we do know about humans. And that brings us to another thing that Hollywood is really good at: projection. If you look at history, things don't usually end well for other living things when they come in contact with humans. And this often includes other human beings. US law defines an invasive species as any species that's not native to an ecosystem, that causes or is likely to cause economic or environmental harm or harm to human health. They can be animals, plants, fungi, or even microbes. But these invasive species have a few things in common. Their populations grow quickly, they travel easily, they adapt to new conditions, and they can survive on lots of different types of food. Does this sound like any species you know? Look, humans have always remade their environments, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. When the European settlers first arrived in the New World, it wasn't this pristine wilderness. What they found was a landscape that had been remade by generations of Native Americans. For instance, the indigenous peoples of the Great Plains used to burn back forests to increase bison populations. On the other side of the planet, indigenous Australians have been setting controlled fires for thousands of years. They do it so the land can bring more food, more resources. They even do it to bring rain. For as long as we've been human, we've changed the landscape to help us live better. It's kind of our thing. Some people think that human nature is the problem, but our species has been around for 300,000 years, maybe more. And for most of that time, we've lived in harmony with nature. More or less. In fact, let's get my friend Darian on the line to put a finer point on the whole living in harmony with nature thing.
Let's get into it, E. I mean, it's possible that we hunted a few big species to extinction, like the mammoth and the mastodon, the giant, I guess that's a giant sloth, this SUV-sized wombat thing. Okay, I have no idea what this is. But even if our ancestors did kill off these animals thousands of years ago, and it's a hot debate whether they did or not, it would be nothing compared to what's happened in the past 500 years. Scientists say that under a conservative estimate, vertebrates have gone extinct 15 times faster than they would have otherwise since the year 1500. And since the year 1900, the rate has been 53 times faster. Without humans, we would expect 9 species to have gone extinct since the beginning of the 20th century. Instead, nearly 500 species have disappeared. So, what happened? Humanity's goals and needs shifted from survival to wealth accumulation. Over the next century, humans are going to explore and maybe even colonize other places in our solar system. And if there are living things that stand between a corporation and its profits, they'd better get out of the way. But I'll let you talk about the aliens, Elliot.
Scientists haven't yet found alien life in our solar system, but that doesn't mean it's not there. NASA certainly didn't take any chances with the moon landings. When astronauts on the Apollo 11, 12, and 14 missions got back to Earth, they were immediately put into an Airstream trailer for quarantine. They had to spend almost 3 weeks in there in case any alien microbes hitched a ride back with them. NASA stopped doing this after scientists analyzed the moon rocks they brought back and found no signs of alien life on the moon. But there might be other places in our solar system that harbor life. The best known place is Mars. NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter confirmed in 2015 that there is liquid water in Mars, an essential ingredient to life as we know it. Other top candidates for life include Europa, a moon orbiting Jupiter, and Enceladus, which orbits Saturn. Both of these moons have liquid oceans underneath an icy surface. Europa might have thermal vents, and Enceladus is thought to be warmed by the way it flexes from Saturn's gravity and the moons around it. Other moons that might have subsurface oceans are Callisto and Ganymede. These are moons orbiting Jupiter. But these oceans lie beneath at least 60 miles of rock, so they might be safe for now. One intriguing possibility is Titan, Saturn's largest moon. It has liquid on the surface, but it's not water. It's probably liquid methane and ethane. Like Earth, Titan has 4 seasons, all of them very cold, and the liquid acts surprisingly like the water cycle here on Earth. If life exists on Titan, it'll be completely unlike any life we know about. NASA has drawn up plans for potential missions to Titan, Europa, and possibly Enceladus. The European Space Agency has missions to Ganymede, Callisto, and Europa in the works. And China, which landed a rover on Mars this year, is also considering a mission to Callisto. If any of these missions prove the existence of life, it would be one of the biggest scientific discoveries ever. It would mean that life is neither an accident nor a miracle, but a natural process arising from physics, chemistry, and mathematics. It would mean that we are a part of a much larger scheme in the cosmos, and that life is much more complicated than we've ever imagined.
Our perspective on the universe and our place within it would never be the same. A discovery of this scale would shake everything up.
If we're not careful, life might find a way to destroy this discovery. In fact, humans have already contaminated the moon. In 2019, Israel attempted to land a small robot on the moon called Bereshit. It was supposed to go like this.
This is Shuttle Launch Control. The Eagle has landed.
But instead, this happened. Aboard Bereshit was an experiment containing thousands of tiny animals called tardigrades, which are about half the width of a human hair. Tardigrades are small, but they are one of the toughest living things known to exist. When stressed, they fold themselves up and go into a state of suspended animation, where they can survive for, well, ever. They can be boiled, baked, blasted with radiation, you name it. When they're not hibernating, they survive by piercing cells with their mouths and sucking out the contents. Who knows what would happen if one of these creatures encountered a cell that did not evolve on Earth? There's a chance it could devour one of the greatest scientific discoveries before any human gets to see it. But at least we can say without a doubt that there is life on another world. Tardigrades are just one of the countless tiny creatures that we usually don't notice. And a lot of it lives right on us. For instance, living in the hair follicles on your face are thousands of tiny arachnids called Demodex. And that's not all. A typical adult has about 30 trillion human cells and another 39 trillion bacterial cells.
Wherever we go, those trillions of cells tag along for the ride too.
In 2012, scientists took swabs from the belly buttons of 60 volunteers. They found 2,638 species of bacteria. More than half of them had been unknown to science. And preying on the bacteria on our bodies are trillions and trillions of bacteriophages, or phages for short. These are viruses that kill bacteria. They attach themselves to the surface of a bacterium cell and inject their genetic material into it, hijacking the bacteria's cellular machinery to make copies of itself until the bacteria bursts open. Phages are, by far, one of the deadliest things on Earth, and they outnumber bacteria by 10 to 1. The good news for us is that they are also very specialized. Phages can't hurt us, and usually one type of phage can only infect one species of bacteria, so the odds that they would be able to infect an alien microbe are minuscule. The bad news is, phages are by far the most abundant biological thing on Earth. Scientists have no idea exactly how many different kinds there are, and some of them have DNA that is unlike any other known living thing. So if we discover a phage in space, we might not be able to tell if it's actually alien life or if it's just something that we accidentally brought with us from Earth. But what's even more worrisome are particles called gene transfer agents, or GTAs for short. Scientists don't actually know much about them, but GTAs look like tiny phages. They are produced by bacteria and other single-celled organisms.
Some scientists think GTAs are phages that were co-opted by microbes so they could exchange DNA.
When a cell releases a GTA, it travels to another cell and injects its DNA into it, creating new genetic combinations. Some scientists have suggested that life on Earth actually originated on Mars. It's a controversial hypothesis, but it's possible that microbial life first appeared on Mars billions of years ago. These microbes could have stowed away on meteorites that were blasted from the Martian surface and eventually wound up on Earth, where they evolved into life as we know it. If that's the case, there's a small chance that any GTAs we bring from Earth could end up mixing their genetic material with alien microbes. If that happens, the biggest thing we'd have to worry about probably wouldn't be the resulting alien Earthling hybrid cells. It would be the scientists who just had history's most important scientific study contaminated. we might alter life on another planet before we even get the chance to discover it. The good news is scientists really hate it when their research gets contaminated, so they have a lot of practice creating sterile environments. NASA maintains something called the Office of Planetary Protection. Their job is to literally stop alien invasions, either to Earth or from Earth.
And so far, they've been pretty successful.
So as long as our exploration of the solar system is motivated by science, we can be sure that there's a very strong incentive to keep our respective microbes from having a close encounter. But once humanity takes to the stars in search of profit, we can only hope that the aliens have their own anti-contamination airstreams, ready and waiting. For more videos like this, subscribe to this channel right now and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any great content. Also, look out for CuriosityStream on social media, link in the description.